What is going on, everyone? And in this video, I'm giving you my UFC 285 Jones versus Gane main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place March 4, 2023 out of Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. Stack card. Really looking forward to it. I think we're all looking forward to it. Return of Jon Jones, obviously. Co-main event's pretty solid. Jeff Neal taking on Shavkat, Rakhmonov, Mateusz, Gamrot, Valentina, Shevchenko, Alexa Grasso, Nickal, Jalin Turner, Jamie Pickett. I think the main card's solid, and then obviously you have Cody Garbrandt taking on Trevin Jones. I believe it's a short notice fight on the main event for the prelims. I think overall a solid pay-per-view card and just an overall card in general. And it's nice to have these cards because sometimes I think with the Vegas cards or the fight night cards, they get a little bit stale. It just feels like they're just getting thrown together at the last minute, and it's just like a showcase of like, let's see some up and comers, but there's nothing really at stake. And so when you have these big fights, it really brings everybody out and it brings in that energy, and I think it's just like obviously more enjoyable that way. But either way, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's talk about the first fight on the main card. In the first fight on the main card, we have Nickal taking on Jamie Pickett in a middleweight bout. I think it's not 2-0 for Dana White Contender Series for Nickal, 13-8 for Jamie Pickett. So for Pickett, he has to sting him early. Like, he has to use that range. When Nickal comes in, he just has to light him up. He has to hurt him with something. If he goes down too easily with a takedown, which, you're getting taken down by Kyle Dawkins 3 times, and then he lost that fight via submission, I don't see why Nickal can't do the same thing. But either way, Pickett's going to have to sting him early, keep that range, make him pay, and then, I guess, attempt to defend the first couple takedowns, because if he doesn't, I just see Nickal transitioning all over him, either dropping bombs on his head or looking for the submission, just climbing all over him, transitioning. And that's going to be really hard for Pickett to fend off. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really think this is too much to this. Like, Pickett's either going to have to get really lucky, or his takedown defense is going to have to look way better than it has. And Nickal's going to have to make probably a big mistake here. But if he doesn't, I can definitely see Nickal dominating this fight, coming out, honestly even throwing some hands because you're so worried about the grappling. Nickal lands a couple strikes and then goes to work, gets him down, and is kind of all over him. And maybe Pickett's able to survive. Like, obviously, I think eventually somebody will survive, maybe go 3 rounds or 5 rounds if it's a main event or something like that. But I don't think Jamie Pickett's going to be that guy. And that's, I think it's going to be a tough outing for him. Who knows? I think it's been a tough outing for Pickett inside the UFC as well. He's gone 2-4 inside the UFC, so not the best record, not what he wants. He has been finished. He got finished in his last fight. He got finished in the fight before that. He got TKO'd by Jordan Wright, of all people. And then he loses a little bit via decision in his first fight. He lost via submission. Those were the Dana White Contender Series fights. But, I mean, overall, if he's winning, he wins by a decision, basically. I'm not really going to count that Dana White Contender Series fight. But, yeah, I'm just concerned with Pickett getting grappled and thrown on the floor and then submitted. I mean, I just can't look past that. So, with that being said, I'm going to have to go Nickal on this one. Anything could happen. He could get absolutely crushed if Pickett lands a pretty good shot. But I think more than likely, Nickal will dodge all that, take him down, and get a submission. So I'm going to go Nickal to defeat Jamie Pickett. Also, I'm going to win by round 1 submission. In the second fight on the main card, we have Mateusz Gamrot taking on Jalin Turner. And this will be an interesting fight because Gamrot is taking this fight on short notice. Now, you never know with short notice fights. You really don't know what he was training for, whoever. Maybe he was training for this fight the whole time. Who knows, right? But for Jalin Turner, it's kind of a good thing, I guess you could say, just because, I mean, he was going to take on Dan Hooker, which is fine, but Dan Hooker has been going back and forth between divisions. He is a name, I guess you could say, but I think as far as fighting a guy who's in the top, Mateusz Gamrot, it's probably going to be a better fight if you can find a way to win. Now that for Turner, Big reach advantage. You know, he's going to have to keep Gamrot at distance, get him from closing that distance, getting the takedown, or just landing any good shots inside. Turner does have pretty good hands. You know, he can definitely sting you from a distance and then step back. Pretty good heavy kicks to the body. He can light you up. Like, he's not a guy you want to just start trading with. The only concern here, again, is one of these fights where if Turner is able to defend those takedowns and if Gamrot keeps taking him down or is able to put it on him, you know, he's going to try to switch to an advantageous position and then try to get that grappling going. And once he gets the grappling going, you can obviously look for a submission, maybe if you tire somebody out. But Turner's been on a roll, you know, getting the submission over Brad Riddell, getting the victory over Jamie Malarkey, Uros Medic, Brock Weaver, and Josh Kulabau. So he's definitely been winning. Now, he did get taken down by Matt Frevola 4 times. You know, has he improved his takedown defense since then? Who knows? But I do think the weakness for Turner here is probably going to be the grappling. I mean, I don't want to count anything out, but Mateusz Gamrot's grappling is probably going to be pretty good as well. He even took down Beneil Dariush 4 times. Now, I think the reason he lost that fight was obviously because Dariush landed the better shots. But, I mean, to take down Dariush at all, to be the one taking down Sarukian as well 6 times, took down Diego Ferreira 4 times. So, yeah, I think he gets the takedown here. He's landed takedowns in every one of his fights, even when he lost in his first fight. It's just a matter of, like, is he going to be able to do anything with it? Keeping Turner on the floor, obviously looking for those submissions, grappling, dominating positions. But then at the same time, it's like, it is short notice, so, you know, how ready is he? But then he took the fight, so, like, somebody must have thought, hey, man, we could take this fight easy. You know, it's going to be a quick win for us. You wouldn't take the fight if you didn't, whereas fighters have decided not to take fights because they feel like they have a disadvantage in that short amount of time, where somebody, whether it was Gamrot or his team, felt that, you know, we could take this fight, we'd probably get a victory. And to me, that's really good confidence. And Dan Hooker, you know, Dan Hooker probably wasn't going to be as tough as a challenge, in my opinion, as Gamrot. Like, if Gamrot was fighting Dan Hooker, I probably would go Gamrot in that one. I just think Gamrot, even in his loss against Dariush, it's not like he got absolutely destroyed and, you know, thrown around or whatever. I still think his grapplings can be pretty dominant, something to keep an eye out for. And like I said, I think he probably tries to, I think he needs to finish here, right? Get a finish, bounce back in a big way, short notice. I think that'll look really good for him. But Turner's going to be pretty dangerous on the feet, and so he's going to have to find a way around that. But I like what we've seen from Gamrot. Who knows, though? Maybe Turner's able to sting him, put him away. But, I just think that grappling is going to be the difference here. So I'm going to go Mateusz Gamrot. I'm going to take him to defeat Jalin Turner. I'll take him to win by submission in round number 2. In the third fight on the main card, we have Geoff Neal, 15-4, taking on Shavkat Rakhmonov, 16-0 in a welterweight bout. Now, for Geoff Neal, I think the biggest criticism that you could have of him is when he took on Neil Magny, Stephen Thompson, and even Santiago Ponzinibbio. It was just, he just looked really reserved, right? He was backing up. He was looking for a couple shots here and there. Wasn't really aggressive. Didn't really use his power. Wasn't looking like he was going out there for the kill. Kind of just looked like he was gliding along. Maybe I'll win a decision. Maybe I won't. It just looked a little weird. And when you fight guys that are more volume strikers, when he fought Thompson, you know, Thompson 171 significant strikes to his 85. Even Neil Magny landed more strikes, 55 to his 35. Took him down twice. Now the Ponzinibbio fight, you know, depending on who was judging it, obviously, Ponzinibbio 91 significant strikes to the 85 that Geoff Neal landed. So it was just one of those weird things where he looked a little bit labored. It wasn't going for the kill, sitting back way too much. But then we saw his fight against Vicente Luque, where he came out, got in his face, traded with a guy who loves to trade in the pocket violently, and he was landing some good shots, and they eventually put him away in the third round. He stayed on him, got aggressive, landed good. He landed a lot more shots. He actually put up some volume, right? And that got him to win the fight. And when you see that, it's like, oh, that's the Geoff Neal we need to see, right? That's what makes him 7-2 inside the UFC. He has that one-shot KO power, but also he has the ability to just get in front of you. He has a good chin, so I'm not really worried about Neal getting taken out. He's tough. But when he sits back a little bit too much and lets his opponent kind of just piece him up, or at the same time go for the grappling, work that in there, he might lose the fight. And when you're fighting these top-level guys, can't let that happen. You can't let Neil Magny take you down. You can't let Stephen Thompson just pick you apart. Like, you just can't let it happen. So for this one, you have Shavkat Rakhmonov, who is coming off 4 great wins. He submitted Neil Magny. Now, I think that's pretty impressive. We know Neil Magny, notorious for taking the fight long, staying in the fight, having a great cardio, keeping that pace. He's always in his opponent's face, doing something, right? Jabbing him, grappling, cardio to do it all day. But then Rakhmonov was able to grapple him and then submit him, and I think that's pretty impressive for Rakhmonov. And I also think, like, on the feet, I think maybe because he's, he did get that kick KO TKO, but because he has 3 subs, maybe people think, well, he's going to take him down or whatever. But I think his stand-up isn't bad either. Now, I'm not saying he should be out here trading with Geoff Neal. Like, I don't necessarily think that's the best idea because of how powerful Neal can be. But I wouldn't be surprised if he out volumes him on the feet, or just, little pop shots here and there, nothing loading up, but he actually tags Neal a couple times, goes to the body or whatever. I think he can hang with him. It's just he has to be a little bit careful of Neal. If Neal comes out like he did last time, you got to calm down a little bit. So for Shavkat Rakhmonov, I do think, like, he won't have a problem keeping the fight standing, and kind of just trying to out volume Neal, and then at the same time trying to work the grappling. But I actually think Neal's a tough bastard, right? I don't really see Neal as like, oh, he's going to get ran over. Like, I think Neal's a tough bastard. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I think Neal survives here. Now, I don't know if he's going to win. I actually don't think he's going to win. But I do think he survives here and gives Rakhmonov his toughest fight. Like if Rakhmonov finishes Geoff Neal, like, that's going to be a pretty good win. And that'll be definitely something that puts Rakhmonov even higher than he is now. And that would be a really good test. So I think Neal's actually going to give him a pretty good test. I think he's going to have to be careful of Neal's power. I think Neal's not going to get taken down that easily. I'm not saying he won't, but I just don't think he's going to get taken down early on. And then, like I said, I think Neal can also land some pretty heavy shots. And so we might see Rakhmonov actually have to deal with some adversity here. But with that being said, I still think Rakhmonov can use the grappling, showcase some of his stand-up, make it a good fight as well, hang in there. I just don't see him. I'd be really impressed to see Rakhmonov put Geoff Neal out. So I don't know if that's going to happen. But I'm going to go Shavkat Rakhmonov. Like I said, I think it's going to be a tough fight for him. But I think we're going to really get to see if he can dig deep. Not just get the finish in 10 seconds in the first round, whatever, in the first minute or 2, whatever. So I'm going to go Shavkat Rakhmonov to defeat Geoff Neal. I'll take him to win by a decision. And so we move on into the co-main event. That even have Valentina Shevchenko, the women's flyweight champion, 23-3, taking on Alexa Grasso, 15-3. And so this is for the women's flyweight title. Now, obviously, with Shevchenko, it's one of those champions where you're just like, oh, again, she's fighting somebody. Who is she fighting? And how is that person even going to have a competition against her or whatever? So it's not really about, like, what Shevchenko's going to do, because we know what she's going to do. Now, I will say this. In her previous fight against Talia Santos, a lot more adversity, took on someone that actually had good grappling and could even compete on the feet as well. Look at her fight against Lauren Murphy. Murphy had no chance on the feet. But you look at Talia Santos, she had 3 takedowns, went for 3 submissions, and in certain situations almost had her, right? And somebody actually, a judge actually scored the fight for her. And so Shevchenko wins via split decision. And that was by far her toughest test. Now, obviously, you don't know if it's just a matter of, like, Shevchenko's been fighting everyone, so does she let her guard down or whatever? Does she, who knows, right? Like, you don't really know how that all works. We saw that with Amanda Nunes. She gets taken out and then she comes back and then it's like, oh shit, that's the Amanda Nunes that we're like used to seeing. But for Shevchenko, it's like, is she running out a little bit of steam? Is she getting bored? Does she not find it like challenging or anything like that? And so for me, Alexa Grasso has to take advantage of that. Meaning she has to start fast. She has to come out with that really good boxing. Try lighting her up, getting in close, like whatever. And then at the same time, being careful of getting out grappled. But maybe she can hang early on with the grappling, or just mix it up, do something different, be the aggressor, right? Come out and start landing these like nasty combinations. Shevchenko was like, oh shit, and then she has to dive in for a takedown, and then now you're in a different world or whatever. Now, obviously, the concern here is, and I know like with experience you get better, but Grasso did get taken down 4 times by Carla Esparza, 2 times by Suarez, Tatiana Suarez, 2 times by Felice Herrig. So she can be taken down. That's, she can be submitted. Shevchenko, is she going to do something like that? And I think it's more of just like whether or not Shevchenko has that fire, right? If she can come out, put on a show. Obviously, in her last fight, I think maybe she felt that like, oh shit, like, there is some competition still out there, right? Like, oh, definitely not everyone I can just run through, right? So, we'll have to see how she takes this one. But I do think it's a good fight on the feet, at least. I'm not sure about the grappling. Obviously, I think Shevchenko is probably going to have the better grappling here. But maybe Grasso's able to make it competitive on the feet to where at least Shevchenko is like having to look to dig deep a little bit or figure out a new way to win. But I think it'll be an entertaining fight. Like, I really do. I think at this point you got to do something different, right? Like, Shevchenko's fighting the same people, not the same people, but she's clearing out this whole division. She's fought the who's who. She even fought Amanda Nunes. She lost, but like it was via split decision. So yeah, I mean, you gotta, coming in as Alexa Grasso, like, you have to do something different. You can't just go in here thinking that you're gonna just outstrike her and not really train your grappling or anything like that, because then Shevchenko is just gonna take you down. So, but all that being said, I think Grasso will come out to strike, and Shevchenko is gonna go through that, grab hold of her, put her on the floor, and start transitioning all over until she gets a submission. And because I don't really see the reasoning here for Shevchenko to keep the fight standing. Like, she should maybe keep it standing for a little bit, but work for that takedown, try to get the finish. She probably doesn't want to have another split decision. She doesn't. Why let it go to the judges like that at this point? And so for me, Shevchenko is probably going to be the one. I'm going to go Valentina Shevchenko to defeat Alexa Grasso. I'll take her to win by round 1 submission. And so we move on into the main event of the evening. We have Jon Jones taking on Ciryl Gane in a heavyweight title bout for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. 26-1 for Jon Jones, 11-1 for Ciryl Gane. And so this is obviously the fight everyone's looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be insane. Jon Jones making his return. First fight in 3 years, I believe, and it's at a different weight against one of these guys who's basically the interim champion. If he didn't lose to Francis Ngannou, probably one of the most, non-typical heavyweight dudes in the heavyweight division. Almost someone like he's literally fighting. Jones is fighting someone that's literally just like him, where it's not like just going out there to slug and brawl. Like, Ciryl Gane has the movement, the side stance, the switching, the kicks, right? He has power, but he can win a decision victory, go after your legs, maybe even submit you. Like, who knows, right? So he's fighting a very technical heavyweight. Both guys are probably going to be technical. Now, the one thing here is obviously, what are we going to get from Jones? Like, who knows, right? I mean, we've seen him hit pads and whatnot, but okay, right? We've seen him like throw Walt Harris on the floor. Okay, I would expect that. So we haven't really seen when the going gets tough, like if Gane's lighting him up or something, like, is Jones going to be doing the same shit? Like, is Jones going to just close the distance on Gane, drop him on his head, and then just drop elbows, kill him? Like, is he gonna do that, or is he gonna be in this like technical battle back and forth where maybe a lot of people are like, this is the most boringest shit I've seen, but they're actually having like this chess match going back and forth, and Gane's, going after his legs, and then Jones is going after his body. Like, it could be. I personally think it's going to be a really technical bout. Like, I think it would be beyond insane for Jones to come off of a 3-year layoff. Now, granted, obviously he was training or whatever, but like just to come off of a layoff like that, to gaining weight, to fighting a guy who, if he would have beaten Ngannou, became the champion and been like the next generation of the heavyweight division. So you're gonna also fight a guy who is freaking massive, same height, light on his feet, very technical, who's been fighting top level competition. Like, you're telling me Jones is gonna come in here and just crush him, or like to even think that Jones can come in here and make this fight super competitive. Like, I think that's insane. Like, that's how we're talking about someone who's not like the normal average guy, because not many people are gonna come in here. I mean, literally, Gane has been fighting basically since John Jones like almost left, right? So it's like, for Jones to come in here and for this fight, like, arguably to even be competitive from Jones' perspective is going to be like pretty insane, because like we're all assuming that he's gonna come in and be like top notch or whatever, but like we don't know. Like, we don't know if he has like an injury. We don't know how he's gonna handle the heavyweight. What if his cardio sucks? Like, I don't know. Maybe he's been lifting too many weights. Like, he just gasses out in like 3 rounds, and then like it's an actual heavyweight fight. Like, we don't know, right? But I do think overall Jones will carry most of his things, and it's just his ability to sides kick to the body, head kicks, elbows from out of nowhere, elbows from the most awkward position. The ability when he takes his opponent down that he's going to try to just destroy you. Like, he's not going to just land you like, oh man, let me catch my breath. No, like, he'll start dropping his elbow on your head. Even against the fence. Like, remember when he fought Glover Teixeira? Like, he was just throwing nasty elbows inside that clinch. In a thing where, like, we thought Glover was going to have that advantage. And so he beats guys at his own game. So what's Gane's game? That, like, point fighting style. But I don't think Jones does that, because if we go to a decision, right? Because Jones is not going to be like Tai Tuivasa, where, clubbing over at you and just like trying to be super aggressive and then hope that he can tag you real quick and put you away. Like, Jones isn't going to do that. Or at least I don't think so, unless he changes his complete game. But I think Jones, much like Ciryl Gane, pick you apart, break you down, and then try to finish you or win that decision just by voluming you. But like, if Gane can keep up with that volume too, with the strikes or whatever, the only real thing I see here being a problem for Gane is if he gets taken down. And not just getting taken down, but I think Jones does far more damage than Ngannou does than when he took him down. Like, I think Jones is dropping elbows, just doing everything he can to basically cut you or tire you out. Like, he's not gonna just lay on him. So that is my concern. That even if Ciryl Gane is winning, and now granted, I'm expecting a near 100% John Jones and 100% Ciryl Gane. But if Gane like is just not able to deal with the grappling, it's over. Like, we're just gonna see that pretty early on. If Jones takes him down and then starts killing him, like, it's not gonna be like, oh man, he's gonna be. No, I think he gets put away. But if Gane is able to defend a takedown or make Jones hesitant to rush in on him like that, because, it's heavyweight. Like, what if I drop, who knows, right? Like, we don't know. Maybe Jones is a little bit hesitant. Maybe he looks too rusty. Maybe he fights the fight too safe. So, it's just so much that could happen here. Especially because Gane is not like, oh, the only way Gane's going to win is if he KOs him. No, who knows? Gane can pull off a submission here. Like, you don't really know. And that's the thing where I don't know. It's just weird because Jones just keeps finding, like, he always finds a way to win though. Like when he fought Dominic Reyes, where he lost. I mean, he won that fight via unanimous decision, but some people were like, some people were like, I don't know about that. And that was a tough fight for him. The fight against Thiago Santos, split decision. Anthony Smith, unanimous decision. He took out Alexander Gustafsson. That no contest dance against Daniel Cormier, which apparently they're saying should be like overturned to his victory now. OSP. I mean, and there were fights like the OSP fight where it was like he came off a little bit of a time off, and then he looked kind of just content with winning a decision, and he knew he was going to outpoint OSP, and the only thing OSP had for him was if he could land a kill shot, and Jones took him down 3 times. Like, he just knew, but then like he didn't really go for anything when he took him down and dropping elbows on his head like he was in his early on in his career. And so that's something that, but then when you look at Jones now, from what he's saying, I feel like he sounds more motivated. And so that's like a good thing to hear, right? Like his motivation. He looks hungry. He wants to be the best, right? He's not fighting for his title. He's fighting to get a new one. And you don't know if that can bring it out. You don't know what's going to bring out of him. But he's running into a guy of Ciryl Gane who I would not overlook. I really wouldn't. I think it's disrespectful to sit here and be like, well, who is Ciryl Gane or whatever. But I think Ciryl Gane is going to... I think Ciryl Gane's make a tough fight. And that's why I don't think I will go with a finish here. I really do think Ciryl Gane... I don't think he's going to get taken down at will. He's trolling, saying like, oh, I started training for this fight when they announced it or whatever. I don't think he started training when they announced it. Like, he obviously has been probably anticipating this could happen. And I mean, the way he fights is rivals the way Jon Jones fights, just at a heavier division. And so Jon Jones, has he really ever had to fight someone that's like him? I mean, I would say no. Not with like that same size. I mean, he'll have a little bit of a reach advantage here, but still, like, Gane, very technical, right? It's not like Jones is fighting Rampage Jackson again or Derek Lewis, right? Like, I think Jones would kill Derek Lewis. He would just take him down and destroy him. Would Jones fight Alexander Volkov? I mean, that'd be an interesting fight, but I still feel like Jones could take him down and kill him. Same thing with Rosenstrike, Dos Santos, Tanner Bozer. Like, I feel like Dontel Mays, I think he was training with or whatever. Like, I think Jones would take everyone down. So it would just be interesting to see here. And obviously Ciryl Gane getting taken down by Ngannou probably is like, oh shit, like I can't have that happen again. And so he's probably been training on it and figuring out ways to get out of those situations. And so, yeah. I think this might be a little bit more close than people think. And I honestly do think it could be a very technical match up until somebody gets clipped, or maybe Jones takes him down, or Gane lands a kill shot on him. Or who knows, right? Or maybe Gane just... Maybe the fight doesn't even get to the floor and Gane just outpoints him for 5 rounds. Like, we could see that happen. Like, I don't want to count anything out. I do favor Jones just because it's so hard to like overlook the GOAT. Like, if Khabib just was like, I'm coming back, like, it would be so hard to not take Khabib against anyone outside of like Makhachev. Or even Makhachev, honestly. Who knows? But I mean, honestly, he could probably defeat Makhachev. But that's what I'm saying. Like, to have somebody like Jones come back, it's just hard not to pick him. And if he wins this fight, I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, he's definitely the GOAT. And if he wins this pretty decisively, like, let's say he does, even if he wins via decision, but he just beats him up, he takes him down 8 times, I think Jones runs his mouth afterwards about Ngannou and basically solidifies that, hey, I won this fight. I'm still here. I'm the greatest of all time. Not you. He's going to say something to try to get Ngannou to come back or whatever, because people kind of wonder like what will happen if they fight. But he's gonna have to get through Ciryl Gane. I think it's gonna be a tough outing though. I don't think it's going to be easy for either guy. And there's so many unknowns about Jones. Like, we don't know what he's been training. We don't know how he's been, how his body's been, all that. So for me, I'm going to go Jon Jones on this one. I'm going to take him to defeat Ciryl Gane. I'll take him to win by a decision. So that'll do it, guys, for my UFC 285 main card predictions for the upcoming event taking place this Saturday, March 4th, 2023. Looking forward to it. Happy to have these pay-per-view cards that are actually stacked and not just feel like they're getting thrown together. So I'm looking forward to it. Let me know who you guys are picking. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.